So today I got a pretty cool podcast for you guys. This is going to be basically what I did as I went ahead and found my largest video, which has the most views on YouTube at 500,000 views, and it's the number one recommended dog training video on YouTube. In the recommended, if you type in how to train a BLUENOSE PITBULL puppy, my video is going to pop up, or at least one of them. So what I did was I get lots and lots of comments, good questions on that video, and I figured I would just go ahead and take the time to answer them, and that would kill a couple birds with one stone. It would help people better understand what I'm talking about, kind of update that video, and also answer some very, very good questions that I keep getting, sometimes repetitive, in the comments there. So if you're into BLUENOSE PITBULL puppies and training puppies and you want to get better at training your dog, hit that like button. Definitely hit the share, definitely hit the subscribe, definitely hit the bell, and shoot me a comment. And there she goes. So first thing is first, let's just jump right into these questions here, and I'm gonna go ahead off this first one that I got recently, 12 hours ago, and this is one that I've seen a lot in these comments, and this one is: if you work 40 hours a week, how the hell do you take them out once per hour? Question I get a lot, and it's a good question because it's like people work, they go ahead and get a puppy, and they're not really sure how you're supposed to do this rule of thumb thing, which is like if the puppy's 2 months old, you got to take them out every 2 hours or hour and a half, 3 months, 3 hours, whatever. That's generally rule of thumb, how long they can hold their bladder for. So for me, each puppy is different. The first thing is first. If you're just like spontaneous, I'm gonna go get a dog or a puppy, and in the middle of the work week where you're just coming home from work one day and you're driving past and you see puppies in the window and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go buy one, and you go buy one, and you get home and you're like, oh my god, how do I do all these things? That's kind of on you to kind of realize, oh, maybe I should have thought this out a little bit better. So I recommend that the spontaneous dog buying thing is okay if you're buying a dog that is maybe from a shelter or something like that, but buying a puppy from a breeder where it's costing you lots of money, where it's just better to do it kind of like plan it. So maybe have an extended weekend. Maybe you have a Monday off, or maybe a Friday, or maybe take off a Friday and Monday, so you have Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, or maybe do it during a vacation week. So that way you can spend all those days dialing in and tuning, because that first week is the most important for, one, the bond, and for two, training purposes, especially potty training, and you're just going to need that time. So, and that's generally not speaking with shelter dogs as far as potty training goes, but definitely with building a bond. Shelter dogs are usually, pretty emotional animals. Some of them been traumatized and through a lot of, stress. So you just buying them and then leaving for 8 hours at a time right away, instantly, it's kind of going to jack the dog up. So it's not really good to do that. If you have someone else that can help you with that, like your wife or your girlfriend or, whatever, friend, or your roommates, whatever your situation is, then that's better. But so that's pretty much what I recommend. I mean, other than that, if you're buying a puppy and you have to go to work the next day for 8 hours, you can expect them to pee all over their cage, everywhere. So that's kind of on you. So that's how my answer to that question is basically take a vacation, take some time off, and do it like that. So that's there's really no easy way about it. And by day 2, you should be able to start extending that time. 3 hours, 4 hours. They will pick it up pretty fast as long as you're on point with letting them know that going outside is what they're supposed to do and going inside is not what they're supposed to do. So as far as that goes, potty training, just to touch on that real quick, just to recap it, when a dog goes in the house, you don't smack them or hit them because it's generally going to be your fault. It's almost 100% of the time not the dog's fault that happens. So when they do that, just take them outside right away, and then when they pee outside, reward them and with playing and heavy petting and love and all this other stuff like that. and make sure the dog knows that this is where, when you do this out here, you get fun, lovey, happy treats and stuff like that. But when you do it inside, you get nothing. So that's how you kind of gauge that situation and deal with that with puppies. So this question here is from Karen Jones. Thanks for the video. I have a 6-month-old blue pit and wanted to know when we should start training for commands and whatnot. We have been doing pretty good with potting, I guess potty training, and we are keeping up with it. I also wanted to know if you or anyone had any tips for the teething. He loves to chew on things, but his favorite is shoes. I've gotten him small balls and ropes, and he plays with them, but he still goes after the shoes. I'm so about it now because he's cute, but I'm sure it will get bad when he gets bigger. Thanks again. Sorry this is so long. Not a big deal for the long questions. I try to read them all. So for this, there's never really a bad time to start training your dog or your puppy commands. I mean, as soon as you feel like they can start responding, I mean, dogs grow up quick. They age within 7 years of humans, and that goes as far as like their their brains and their minds, the way they think. They're just, dogs are very smart. So I would say just right away. Just right away. I mean, the first thing you could do is train the dog the name, her name, his name. So, commands, you can start doing that right away. It's not like a baby where they're not going to understand. They're going to figure it out pretty quickly. So, no big deal there. Just get right on it. Excuse me. As far as the shoe thing goes, the shoes, if your dog likes to chew on shoes, then maybe get the dog his own shoe so they don't chew yours. It shouldn't be a problem if it's his own shoe toys. If that's what he's going for, then just give him an old shoe. I don't see an issue with that as long as they're not swallowing parts of the shoe. Like Storm will eat things and kind of like spit it out. She doesn't swallow stuff that she doesn't like. But, or you could go the route with giving a hard toy or some kind of toy. Take them, say no, give the other toy and say, that's good, and follow with a treat or something so they know that this associates with a good thing. Or, like I said, just there's no big deal about giving a dog a shoe. As long as they know that that's their shoe. Keep your other shoes and stuff, if they like to go after shoes, off of the floor. If you're the kind of person that just lays shoes all over the place and then your dog gets it and tears it all up, it's kind of, just leave the shoes off the floor and they'll eventually figure that that's not for them, because, generally speaking, when a dog sees things on the floors, it's kind of their territory, that's kind of their area. If your dog is prone to go after those type of things. Like Storm, she likes shoes, but it's not her main thing. She'll walk by a shoe to get to her rope, but, sometimes she'll go for the shoe. So I just take the shoes off the floor, and that's the end of it. Once in a while, I'll leave the shoe. I'll leave shoes around, and she'll like get it or whatever, and that's a pain in the butt. I never had to give her her own shoe, but that's just an option if you want to do that, or just work on, like I said, when they have a shoe, take it, say no, replace with another type of toy. When they start chewing on that, give them, associate it somehow with a good thing by giving them a treat or rewarding them with playing and stuff like that. Don't just, like a lot of people get they're like, well, what do I do when a dog bites my hand? And because I know that's going to be a question we're going to answer on that next. So what do I do if my puppy is like biting my hands and biting my feet and biting, couch pillows and stuff like that? What you're going to want to do in that situation is like tell them no when they bite your hand, and they're biting your feet, and then replace it instantly with a toy. Now, the part where you replace it and they initially go for the toy instead of your hand, that is the most crucial part. That is when you're going to want to right away instantly say yeah and heavy petting, get into it with them. Make sure they know that when they go after that toy, that's a good thing. That's what they want. Don't just hand them the toy and say, here you go. And they're like, they have to understand that the toy's the good thing. Your hands and everything else is not the good thing. So that's kind of how you do that part of it. There's no, like, it doesn't have to be overcomplicated. Like, I think a lot of people overthink these kind of situations where they're like, he's biting my hand. What do I do? Do I tell him, no, don't bite my hand? And, like, dogs don't really understand anger. They kind of just know. There she is. Hi, little bird. Hi, little birdie bird. Okay. So, say she was biting my hands or whatever right now, and I wanted to give her a toy, and she now has the toy. I'm going to go, good girl, yes, that's a good girl. Yes, yeah, get the toy. Mwah. Go get it. And what does she have? The toy. When you associate the toy with heavy petting and loving and a good thing, they will always go back to that toy, and that's going to be like their thing, So that's basically how you do that, and that's to answer that question. When a dog is biting your hand, you just want to replace it instantly with a toy and heavy petting and love. So another question I get a lot, and this is more a question towards me, but it's also going to answer a question. And Kenneth, I don't know how to say his last name, so we'll just say Kenneth. How long does your dog stay in the cage when you're at work? So generally speaking, my dog is never in the cage. So she has her cage there, and actually me and Lee came home one day, and I guess it was last week, and she was actually in the cage, which was so weird. She was like laying in the cage, and she never does that. So it's there available for her if she wants to, but it's up to her really. So the way I did that when she was a puppy was I would just leave her out of the cage for like 20 minutes, and then I would leave her out of the cage for like 45 minutes, and then an hour and a half, then 2 hours, and then eventually just left her out of the cage all the time. Now, she is limited to upstairs. She's not allowed to go upstairs when I'm not home because I have the studio up here, and she likes to, go into bed and rip the bed all apart and just lay under the covers and be a mess. So she is only allowed downstairs, and that's another way you could do it, kind of like, limit their room space when they're a puppy and then kind of extend it as you go. It's entirely up to you if you want to train your dog. Just if you're going to do that, just remember, and you should never do this anyway, but don't use your cage as a way or a form of discipline. It's not really going to go over well. The dog's going to despise the cage. They're not going to want to ever go in there. So if you plan on crate training your dog, you have to make sure that they love that space. It's comfortable, it's big enough for them, and so that's that. But you don't really need to do it. I think that as long as you limit the room space, maybe you just limit them to baby gates in the living room, have the cage open. They're going to kind of just go and do whatever they want. The way to do that is to just kind of stretch out the time that you leave the dog out of the cage. Like I said, half hour, 45 minutes, hour and a half, 3 hours, 4 hours, and eventually all day long while you're at work. And, there may be a few times in the beginning where they have an accident or something because they're not used to it, and maybe they're, a little bit stressed out and they poop or whatever in the middle of the living room floor or something. So when you get home, it's like, you couldn't even go in the corner. You did it right where I could, So I got a question the other day, or it was more like somebody kind of like trying to correct what I was saying. And this person said that when you're training your dog to sit, don't push their butt down. This is actually not something that I agree with at all. I think that when your dog is a puppy and you're just bringing your dog home, you can very much so make sure that you're not pushing the dog's butt down. You're just giving a little tap on the rear to let them know that's where they're going. They're using that. And that's what they kind of associate with that. Now, because at the same time, the same person was saying, you hold up a treat. You never, ever hold up a treat in front of a dog and give a command. That signals bribe. They're going to obviously do whatever you want them to do. You want to be in control, not the fact that you have a treat in your hand. So, I don't even show the treat until I get what I want from the dog. So, yeah, you just can give your dog a little pat on the butt, or, at first. You don't have to do this every time. It's literally like one time, little pat on the butt. They sit down, and that's it. They know it from there on. Once they get it once, that's it. It's done deal. So, yeah, whoever person that is, don't push your dog. You should never push your dog's butt down. That's nonsense. You can absolutely give your dog a little tap on the butt. You can extend your dog's paws out if you want to help them to associate lay down, like that's what you're doing, or plats. That's what Storm does to lay down. You know, just help the dog out a little bit if they're not understanding. That's all I'm getting at. People like to take things out of context and overthink it and whatever. So, yeah, it's not a big deal to do that. Don't listen to those comments if you're seeing them in the comments. So somebody wrote a comment. It says, "I'm confused. I was told that I can't take my dog outside around other dogs until I get all of my shots. How do I take my dog outside?" So what that generally means is when you're taking, before your dog gets your shots, you could take your dog outside in your own space, but you don't want to take your dog around other dogs or dog parks or really walk around the neighborhood or anything like that until all your dog's shots are taken care of. And I would wait even 2 weeks or to about 30 days after that to take your dog around other dogs, to dog parks, to stuff like that. You can take your dog outside in your backyard or wherever you go outside, but I would probably limit that until they have all their shots. Absolutely. Your dog can get very sick and can cause death even. So, yeah, until all the shots are done, don't take your dog around other dogs or dog parks or anything like that. But you can take your dog outside. It's not like, you got to keep the dog inside until all the shots are done. But, yeah, you don't want to bring them around other dogs or anything like that. So the confusion there is probably somebody not telling you directly clear enough that what they mean is no other dogs, no dog parks, walking around the neighborhood, because other dogs could be around the neighborhood too, and there could be dogs that pee and poop all over. And so make sure you go into a controlled space that there's no dogs going. If you're from an apartment complex, go to the area of the apartment complex where if you live there, generally where people go. So just try to limit the area where you take your puppy until all the shots are done, and then about 2 weeks after that. And no less than 2 weeks. Okay, if you want to go 30 days, that's fine, but no less than 2 weeks, I would say. And that's just like when you get your dog shots, you aren't allowed on an airplane for 30 days after the shot. So that's kind of where that rule comes from. So this question is from Kagera. Okay, and no one talks about this. Can anyone tell me what I want the dog to do tricks without food after? Is that possible? OFC, I will give then later, but it's not like a job, ? So I'm going to try to reconstruct that question to what I think they're saying is, can you train a dog tricks without a treat in your hand? Yes, you can very much so do that and do it after they do the trick. You don't want to have the dog do 10 tricks and then here's 10 treats. No, that's not how it works. Every time they do something good, you reward. Now, you don't have to flash it in their face and you don't always have to give them a treat, but you want to reward them with either a toy, a treat, or heavy petting and love. That's just the way it is. There's no two ways about it. That you have to. The dog has to associate what they're doing good with good. You can't. They're not going to be like, oh, makeup treats for the 10 tricks I just did. That's just not how a dog thinks. When they do something good, reward them with whatever you're going to reward them with. Yes, it does not always have to be food or treats, but as long as it's something that they associate with a good, happy feeling, and you will be successful. I work a 9 to 5. How do I eventually raise a dog like that if they need a lot of attention? I don't have a dog yet, but I really want one. Please tell me. So I work a 9 to 5. How do I eventually raise a dog like that if they need a lot of attention? Well, dogs do need a ton of attention all the time. And this is a problem I run in with my dog a lot because I work a lot and she's generally home by herself for about 8 hours, but I also come home for lunch every day. So, yeah, if you think that you can't give the dog the attention that you need, then I think maybe you should reconsider getting a dog until you are in a right space where, you can either come home for lunch or maybe you can spend more time. So, it is a tough situation, but, dogs can generally be alone for a little bit of a time. Just don't. Oh, thank you, Storm. Thank you, Mama. She brought my shoe. That's very kind of you. Come here. Say hi to the people. Come here. Now, she took my shoe. I took it from her. Didn't yell at her and tell her no, but she knows that this is not something she can have. But this is you can have this. Come on. Yeah, come here. Get it. Come on. Good girl. Good girl. See what I mean, guys? Come on. Come up. Get it. Come here. Come here. Good girl, Mama. Now give me a hug. Oh, yes. Yes, you're such a big dog. And oh, yes. Good girl. Get your toy. Get your toy. Go get it. If you're going to get a puppy, you have to dedicate time to it and effort. Or, honestly, just don't get one. Get a cat. All right, so let's find one more good question here, and then we will wrap this one up, guys. And like I said, if you're enjoying this content, you're finding value in it, please leave a like. Please share. Please subscribe. I really would appreciate it. My link for Patreon will be below if you want to become a Patreon member. I'll have other types of videos that are not on YouTube on there, more personalized videos, stuff that you could check out. And it's really cheap, just $3 a month. It really helps the channel because YouTube's algorithm and their AdSense, it just is non-existent. So if you guys would please consider helping the channel out on Patreon, I would really, really appreciate that, and so would Storm. So basically, Chris Eriks, this is a question where he's a programmer. It looks like he's working from home, and he's trying to figure out a schedule for him and his dog to sleep, take naps, or whatever. I think what you're doing is overthinking the entire situation. Dogs are generally going to sleep all the time, anytime they can. So it's, so dogs are super active usually. You don't have to really get them on a certain sleep schedule. You don't have to really overthink it too much like that. You just kind of do your thing, and your dog will kind of follow right in line with it. Especially if you're working from home, you're going to be just fine. So I wouldn't overthink about it too much. Like, get them on a solid eat schedule. Either do it in the morning or night or both, whatever you're going to do. I feed Storm once in the morning, and then that's it. But, she gets a very high nutrient-based food. So as far as sleep goes, she sleeps with me when I sleep, or she'll sleep when I'm not home. She just sleeps. Dogs are going to find a way. So don't overthink about it too much. And let's just answer one more because that was kind of an easy one. So I wonder about how to crate train my dog. How do I introduce my dog to the cage successfully? So this is a question I get a lot. The way you want to introduce your dog to a crate is kind of simple. You just kind of want to have them sniff around it. You want to let them go in and out of it, then shut the door on them. Let them sniff around the cage with the door closed, then open the door. Kind of just let them in and out of it when you first get your puppy, and they will pick up the vibe from it pretty quickly. Just whatever I do, the best advice that I can give for crate training a dog or any kind of crate training, never ever use it as a disciplinary tool, because that's not what it is. It should be a place of comfort. It should be a place where they go to rest. It should be a place where they go to just hang out in their little space. So I wouldn't use it ever as a disciplinary tool, and I think that's the biggest mistake people make. And so that's kind of to answer your question there. Crate training is pretty easy. I have a video on it. They just let them kind of, when you first get your puppy and you're bringing your puppy home, set the cage where you're going to have it. Let them check it out. Maybe throw a treat inside of it. Let them go in. Let them go out. Then let them go in, shut the door. Let them hang out in there for a few minutes. Then let them out of it. And just kind of do that for an hour or two. And they're kind of like, oh, this is my area. And they will pick it up like instantly. So that's it, guys. I hope you enjoy the video, the podcast. This is for all the dog lovers out there. I know there's a ton of you on my channel. If you like this video, like I said, like, share, subscribe, hit the bell and the notification. Patreon link will be below in the description. And leave a comment if you want to see more podcasts and hear more podcasts like this. I will gladly make the content for you guys. So let me know. That's it for this one. I love you all. Have a great rest of your week. Peace. Bye. Say goodbye to the people.